Hey, this is Michael Colter here from Fused Marriages. On today's show, we have an interesting topic. We're talking about the idea, are kids using technology too much? Do you need to reconsider the gift you're giving them? Do you need to take away their tablets, their cell phones? We know it's controversial. Check it out, listen in. It may make you reconsider, right, how you're handling your kids and the choices that you're making with them. All right, let's go.
Thank you for tuning in. We are Tristin and Michael, and you are listening to Fused, transparent conversations for marriage, family, and relationships. We invite you to join us as we discuss topics that are thought about but not talked about. So tell your friends and family to check us out. And as always, follow us on all of our socials at Fused Marriages.
Hey, how are you doing today?
Good, I'm liking the look.
Hey, I got somebody helping me.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I can say Miss Tiffany out there, she helping me out. So, I'm trying to, just do something a little different.
A little different. I like it. Okay, so today we are getting in a conversation that's a little bit controversial.
A little bit.
So I'm curious to definitely hear your thoughts on this one, particularly for those of you that are parents or may have observed some of the same things when you're looking at the youth of today. So our conversation is Adolescent Technology Quagmire.
Yeah, I mean, the whole objective, right, of our show is really just to help people.
Yeah.
Give them insight, make you think about something different. And we think this is a good topic that we have actually personally experienced, right? And I think really everything we personally experienced, but this is fairly new from a conversation where we have kids, right? You guys may not know, but we have young kids. We're a blended family. We have older kids, but we have kids in the adolescence, elementary school age. So I think it's really relevant to people that have kids, and it could be applied to teenagers too as well, though. So
yeah. So the quagmire that we are discussing today is our digital connections affecting our families more than we realize. We know that we are in an age that utilizes technology in a multiplicity of ways, but how is it really impacting us, not just as individuals or maybe as adults, but what does this look like for the next generation, knowing that it's going to be part of what they need to know how to do? How do we integrate that and still maintain social skills and that sort of thing? So that's what we're going to be jumping into today.
Absolutely.
We're going to throw a couple stats out there at you. Did you want to hit them off?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Take on.
So 60% of kids start using smartphones by the age of 5.
Wow.
1 in 5, 60%
That's a
by
lot.
the age of 5.
We didn't know that until we did our study, but that's a high number. That's a significantly high number.
And 1 in 5 parents say their child under 12 has their own smartphone.
That's true. That's true because we, our kids come back and say, "Hey, Daddy, can I have a smartphone?"
As you can tell, our kids are not. They don't have their own,
and they're not 12 yet. So even probably younger than that. So 1 in 5 is what the stats say. But that's crazy.
And in 1995, school-age children spent an average of about 3 hours per a day on screen time. They're primarily, obviously, at that time watching television. Today, the average is 6.5 hours a day. So if we think that they're at school for the majority of their day, that means all of the time from after school until they go to sleep, they're on their screens, and probably sometimes they're in the morning and doing lunch or something like that.
I think the unique thing I wanted to kind of highlight it out of me for this particular stat is that, it was primarily in 1995-ish, it was 3 hours watching TV. Right. Most of us had either 1 or 2 TVs back then. Now you got, people got tablets, you got cell phones, you got other ways, you got computers, you got their own personal laptops that they have access to content to. And that's 6.5. I'm like, wow, that's a lot. That's a lot of time. That's a lot.
So then it brings about a question about what is digital time doing to our relationships with our children, with our spouses, and how is it impacting their interactions with us? So today, access to the digital content is easier and easier to access, like Michael said, because we have all of these ways and means to get in to contact one another or to utilize these devices. I will let you take kind of this next point, but I think that it's really interesting that it's needed, and at least I want to point out that it's something that is needed, but sometimes it's managing us versus us managing it. So go ahead.
No. I think just so we're setting up just the conversation, right? So that we're able to really digest, right? I think we kind of know some of this stuff, but sometimes we don't really understand really the full dynamics of how we got to the place that we're in today. So there was a study done by the Kaiser Family Foundation, right, that reported a rise in sexual and profanity-laced content in non-cable TV, right? So between the years of 1995 and 2000, there was an increase, right, from 56% of that type of content to 70%. Right, so they're an independent organization just doing a study on television and different content. So the idea, right, we can kind of like understand that, right? When we were growing up, you know, if bad words were said, that was typically placed on cable TV, right? With your HBO, your Cinemax, or your other, you know, wasn't even on TNT or TBS or anything like that. You had to go to kind of those upper channels, right? That mom and dad didn't let you watch, you know, until you went to bed.
You had to pay for them and everything.
Yeah, you had to pay for them. But nowadays, you put it on, whether it's NBC, ABC, whatever it is, just kind of your standard channels, you're seeing a lot different things that we weren't seeing 20, 30 years ago.
I remember one of my favorite shows growing up was I Love Lucy. And I remember Ricky.
What are you, 85?
Okay, well, it was my favorite show. I loved it. And I remember seeing scenes where Lucy and Desi, they didn't even sleep in the same bed. They would like peck, they'd kiss, and they'd go to their separate beds. So, yeah, I think that definitely the imagery is out there much more than it ever was. Yeah,
and just to kind of add to it, right? So, we know we talk about digital content, but you can't leave music out of it, right? We grew up, right? We had, you know, cassette tapes and then CDs, and now, you know, it's MP3s, and now, you know what, just pretty much you just type in anything on YouTube, it comes up as music. So, but one of the things that we had that kind of protected us as growing up, so I don't know if many people know this, in 1990, is when the parental guidance came on, the little sticker you put on a little CD, like, you know what, you had to be 18 and above. And it was 2 Live Crew had that album out. I don't know if y'all remember that album. They had some crazy lyrics, whatever, say any other. But they actually, I didn't know they prompted that. I didn't know what that actually initiated that sticker being put on there. But nowadays, I know like you got the digital parental controls, but really, if you want to go find some explicit music with some lyrics or some content, like you can find it. Whether it's a video music or it's just audio, whatever it is, it's easier for us easier for kids to find that.
Yeah, all you have to do is put in the music, and it will say like it might have an E next to it, but to somebody that wants to listen to the song, it doesn't matter. Like it's like you almost have to search the clean version versus search for the explicit version. So then here's the question: have we reached a point in technology in speaking within our kid? What is speaking to our kids more loudly? Is the content digitally speaking louder than we are?
Yeah, I really think that's really what we're trying to get to, right? Where the idea of, you know, us as parents, right? We want to expose our kids to certain things, to certain type of content, but as we just mentioned, 6.5 hours of the day, they're getting exposed to other things, right? And what are those things? And the question we're asking, I think you set it up pretty nicely, is that speaking louder or more frequently to our kids than what we are? Yeah,
and I think when people have this conversation, they're like, well, they're going to see it anyway. Like they're going to hear it anyway. And I think that that's true. I don't think that we can completely encapsulate our children where they hear nothing, they see nothing, they know nothing. But it's at what age do we want our kids exposed to these things, and how do we want them introduced to our children? So do we want to talk to our kids about sex, or do we want them to start finding pornography and then that becomes their teacher? You know, do we want to talk to our children about drugs and diseases, or do we want them to encounter it firsthand because we didn't have those conversations, or because they're searching for it on the internet? So I think that the best way that we can, and there's different ways of doing it, and the goal is that, you know, like we have processed this and we try our best, all of us as parents try our best to not have our kids have to experience some of the harder lessons in life to get it. But that takes us being very proactive and trying to see at what age. Somebody needs to probably hear about it at 13. Somebody can wait at 16. Somebody might be 11, depending on what we're talking about. And I think that that's part of the danger of technology, is that it can become the primary teacher of our children versus us.
Yeah, I think the one key word you said, and you know what, as a parent, I want to decide, right? I want to decide when that is, what they're exposed to, when they should be exposed to it. And right now, we don't really have control, in my opinion, we don't have control over that as much as we had in the past.
Yeah.
And I think us as parents, we got to say, okay, hold on. How do we get the reins around what this issue is? I say, like you said, we can't necessarily take away technology. You know what? Nah, no TV, no like, we're not saying that.
Yeah.
But to kind of go in ignorance and saying, you know what, hey, you know what, everything is they're being exposed to what I believe they're being exposed to without being the guardrails around it. We don't know.
Yeah.
We do not know.
Well, what do you think? Like, some parent might say, well, I have parental controls on my kid's tablet and I know everything that they're watching. What would you say to that parent?
Well, we got stories around there, right? Because we have kids, we can actually speak probably just to that, right? Because we have parental controls on some of the content. And one of the things that we saw is, right, okay, for the particular apps they're on, it was fine. But they had commercials that would come on, or kind of ads. I'm saying commercials, ads that would come on to them. Like, hold on,
You said
that's
commercials.
kind of commercials. Yeah, I'm like that. But it was like that's kind of risky. You know what I mean? The idea of like, hold on, like what is that? That's an anime. What she is doing? What she dressed like? And it was promoted to like, oh, it's a kid's game, or it's a kid's app, or it's a kid whatever, a toy. And we're like, man, hold on. If I'm not seeing it, because think about when we grew up. If a commercial came on that wasn't appropriate, typically was in the public room with our TV, parents say, you know what, no, I want y'all seeing that, I'm changing the channel, right? Everybody saw it. But if I'm on my tablet or on my phone, commercial come up, you may not ever know what that kid was exposed to. And I think that's the risk. So we can't necessarily eliminate it completely, right? Because I think ads are going to be ads, people are going to do this, that, and the other. But the idea that this isolation when they're watching, it's like, man, I'm looking at it like, hold on, I'm struggling with that, right? I'm struggling with that.
And another thing is sometimes when like the show ended, so then another suggestion would come up that's not necessarily in line with the show that you said that they could watch. So even with some of those parental controls, we still have to be active and be vigilant because we want to manage what our child is seeing at what age. And again, I'm not saying this in like a religious spirit where it is they can only do these 5 things every day, but I am saying that there's so much out there that can really cause our kids to go down a different path, that it can be challenging if we are not engaged. So let's kind of talk a little bit maybe about some of the things with our kids.
Yeah, for sure.
And some parents, so sometimes we give our kids tablets or phones because it's convenient. It's something that is helpful. Like, hey, I've got to make dinner. I'm walking in the door. Y'all can go watch your program or pull out your your tablet. Take some time because I have a couple other things that I need to check off the list before the night ends.
And I think, that's what we did that. Right? It was at a convenience where we might have been working from home, had meetings, had things going on. Like, hey, you know what? We want to have our own private conversation. Hey, go get your tablet. Right? So it's almost like, so we're just saying like we fell into that category, right, of convenience. And one of the other ways we fell into is, right, travel, right? We may be driving or flying on an airplane or this, that, and the other, just moving around. And we wanted to say, okay, hey, you know what? While we take these 2 hours, wherever we're in this airport, get your tablet. And I think that's and we're kind of building a case of like how we like even we fell into some of these as well. But we came into the issue of like, okay, hold on, how's this benefiting our kids? I know it's benefiting us, but how's it benefiting our kids? So those two things came up as well. But yeah, what you got?
And I wanted to say this about that. There are some times where they can have access to that, but if it's their constant go-to, what ends up happening, well, I don't want to skip these last two, but I do want to say this. What ends up happening is that you are creating in your child unintentionally, and maybe even for yourself, a sort of addiction. Because like we talk about social media addiction, people that spend hours scrolling nonsensically, like they have no reason, but they just lose their time. Your kids do the same thing. So we're creating an addiction to, and if maybe you've heard this, can I have my tablet? Where's my tablet? Can I have my phone? Or, hey, what are you're trying to talk to them. They're running the house to get their iPads, or can I use your phone? Can I play a game on your phone? Can I watch something on your phone? Where they no longer are really wanting to go outside and play. They're not wanting to engage. And this may sound really old school, but it really is changing how our kids connect. It's changing. We've talked to teachers. It's changing how they operate in the classroom, their ability to focus and have their attention span. It's changing how they interact with other kids. Instead of going and wanting to play, they'll rather stay at home and virtually play a video game. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with video games. We had video games when we were kids, kind of. Ours were like Duck Hunt and Super Mario Brothers.
Mario Brothers. Atari. Yeah, I know about Atari.
That
might be going back.
We had what was the punching one?
Oh, Mike Tyson Punch Out?
No, that's not what I was talking about.
I know about
I was talking about the one you did, KO, Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat. That's a little newer though, so I'm with that one though too. Street Fighter.
Yeah, Street Fighter. It was fun. You had like 5 moves you could do.
Yeah.
But I say all of this to say there's nothing necessarily awful about having access to technology. We are pro technology. We are pro teaching your kids how to use things. We know that that's where everything is headed. So they can't be absent from that, because then they'll be unable to catch up later in life. How do you type? How do you use AI? How do you use all of these tools? We want them to be exposed to that, but we don't want that exposure to come at the cost of them being able to interact, to sit still, to understand, or to be exposed to things that are far beyond their years.
Right. Since I just kind of moved the conversation along, right? So we just noticed. So we had the convenience we did with the travel. We had the controllable apps on there, right? ABC Mouse and Disney and all these other apps. We just noticed the commercials came on, and then like we started noticing a drift, right? That's how we kind of framed it up, of like something started happening, like just somewhere between like, after about 2 or 3 years of using, like, okay, hold on, what's going on? Behavior issues. You mentioned about, hey, they had to have a tablet to go to bed. You know what? We'd rather have the tablet than go outside. These are things we say like, hold on, what is going on? It's a nice sunny day outside. Like, no, I want to get on my tablet. Yeah. We're like, no, go outside. And then the idea that they would even get frustrated when they couldn't get it. It was like a thing. We were like, hold on, like, is this crack? No, but it was like that type of a level of addiction. Yeah. Like, we're being funny, but I know some parents also are kind of maybe experiencing as well, that the idea of these tablets, like they could not separate themselves from it. Yeah. And they felt a pull to it to say, hey, I have to have it. And I would get mad or upset or angry even, I'm a parent, I'm not that gentle parent, but like they would try to get angry.
We aren't.
They would try to get angry to say, hey, why not? And and then we made a decision, right? We made a decision.
So we noticed 3 big things in our kids with their technology. We keep saying the tablet, but these all forms of technology.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we noticed that they were more distracted. Like they needed it, as Michael said, to kind of relax and to have quiet time and to go to bed. And when they couldn't have it, it wasn't like Michael said, they weren't falling out, but you could tell that they were frustrated, or they'd be like, well, what can I do? What can I do? Like that sort of behavior. Their minds seemed to drift in conversations. And then they were kind of exposed to some of the things, like some of like the innuendo and some of the violence a little bit too early. And again, these are not all avoidable, but if we can manage how frequently they're seeing these images, then it can help. And then we notice some of the discipline things, like so they would be frustrated or angry. They would start to ask, especially my daughter, she would ask questions about certain words. What does this mean? Or what is that? Or start kind of looking at situations a little bit differently, being at a young age. Oh, that's their boyfriend, or that sort of thing. Be like, you're too young to even be thinking about this. Now, we do, again, recognize that they might hear that sort of thing at school or from older siblings, but that being a part of their common vernacular became problematic.
Yeah, and I just want to bring up a topic I heard from Dr. Sarita Lyons about, like we're never being educated, right? We're never being entertained, right? Entertainment is nearly not necessarily a thing. She calls it edutainment, right? So you're always being educated and entertained at the same time. So whether it's with technology, whether it's with games, whether you're just watching passively, like everything you're doing, you're always being educated about something, right? It's edutainment, right? You got this kind of entertainment aspect of it. So I thought that was kind of cool to kind of like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, if I'm actually doing something, I may be entertained, but my mind is taking in something else too as well.
Yeah.
And our kids are just like us, right? So they're taking in things.
Yeah, That's really good. Okay, so now to what we did. Now, I want to preface this by saying we don't have calm, cool, collected kids. We have very vocal and active children. So the steps that we took once we started making some observations were not necessarily easy, and it wasn't like, oh well, they have this kind of kid that would, be a little bit more subdued. So jump into that.
But I would just to kind of really say, I believe our kids were addicted to the tablet.
Yes.
Right. I would go as far as to say that, right? Our kids were addicted to the tablet, to the idea where, like, hold on, this here is a problem, right? And we had a discussion about it, say, okay, what are we going to do with it?
Yeah.
And we tried a couple of things, right? We just like, okay, hey, we're going to limit this, we're going to take away this, we're going to put these controls on there. It wasn't a knee-jerk reaction, if you will, right? We kind of went through some steps to let you kind of set it up from there.
Okay, you set it up.
Yeah, I knew that you go and put the nail in the coffin on.
What we did, and you might have a variant of this, but we actually stopped cold turkey. We decided our kids are too far. We understand addiction in our families, and we did not want to see them become addicted to the tablet. And because they we're like, yeah, we're not doing this. So we took away our kids' tablets completely.
Yeah, and I would go as far as say, I don't think we're unique with the addiction. I know the addiction kind of like, well, my kid ain't like,
it's a harsh word. People might have a hard time.
I'm going to tell you if your kid's addicted or not. Take your kid's tablet away for 1 week and see how they respond to it. Just say, hey, you know what, this week, Johnny, you're not getting your tablet. Mm-hmm. And then hold on to that and see how they respond to it. If they say, okay, cool, I'm not worried about it, they start doing something else, your kid's probably fine. Mm-hmm. If they give you like, oh, but why? What I'm going to do? I can't,
Mommy, I'm bored. Mommy,
bored.
I have nothing to do.
They, some kids may get a little, wordy with their parents, but like, gauge that and say, okay, hold on, is this an addiction response or is just, what is this?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I would say I have no problem saying I think our kids were addicted to the tablet.
Yeah.
In a way that, like you said, they were functional, this and the other, but something that they relied on in a way that we didn't really want.
Yeah. And what we our concession was that they could watch TV in the public rooms. So they had to ask what program they wanted to watch, and we would yes or no that program. We would have time limits on that, because another thing that happens with tablets and phones is that they might be watching them in another space, and you don't know what they're watching or what they're viewing or how long they've been doing it. Like they went upstairs to change their clothes and they're up there an hour and a half. Well, what are you doing? I don't know how long it took you to change your clothes or do your homework, and now you're on a tablet. So we did stop cold turkey, and some of the things that we're talking about really did happen, where they were like, oh, Mommy, can I have it now? Like it almost became like they thought they were being punished, and we had to explain like, hey, we just don't like how much you're watching it. Let's find something else to do. What else can we do? And it changed everything.
It changed. Like to us, we weren't necessarily planning for it to change to the level that it did.
And we weren't planning to be like an indefinite sort of like, you'll never get it again. Like that wasn't the plan either.
That wasn't the initial goal to say, hey, we're going to take it away and like never get it back.
Yeah.
But once we saw the impact, and we can talk about some of the impacts that we saw, we were like, hold on.
Yeah.
They're different. They're better. Mm-hmm. They're more engaged. I'm gonna let you go ahead. You can go ahead and finish. Go
ahead. You got it.
I mean, so like one of the things we saw them willing to go up and play outside more.
Yeah.
Right. Doing more creative things.
Yeah.
Artwork in the house, drawing, creating things. Like right now, they get paper and start writing stuff and making stories up. Right, really, in our opinions, like being kids, being kids, and which we were not seeing that before, not to this level. It had been a little bit of spark, but like it wasn't that much we were seeing before.
So our kids have always been very, very active. Like, hey, they play basketball, baseball, volleyball, run track, all of these things. But when they got done with that, they immediately wanted a tablet. Yeah. They would go do a track meet and they would want to get in the car and, can I have my tablet now? Or it'd be like, it's only been 30 seconds. Like we just got into the car. So those were some of the things that we saw. And now there is no expectation for that. So if they have technology any form of technology, it's serving a purpose that we have decided. Hey, let's watch this show, or hey, I want you to check this out. Same with music. We are a very music heavy family, but we are introducing, or they might say, hey, I heard this song, so we can go back and we can listen to it because it's going to be played in the main areas. So we can be like, I don't really like that song, or I'm not so sure about that one. Let's find a new song. And so we didn't introduce it as a punishment, like you've done something wrong. It's, hey, we want to listen to some good stuff together. We want to introduce you to some music, or we want to, because really music is one of those things that as you get older, and there's songs that we listen to as kids that we look back, we're like, we probably shouldn't have been listening to that either. But you know better, you do better.
Yeah, right.
You know better, you do better. But we started learning we started observing in our kids that their discipline changed, their creativity increased. My son has literally gone through hundreds of sheets of blank paper, making paper airplanes and doing like origami. And if you see him, he's a very active child. So for him to be able to kind of think about some things differently, and opposed to technology thinking for him, I think has been a really big benefit. And then it's also, I just want to point this last thing out, it's changed they're more disciplined. They can focus for longer periods of time because they're not jumping from one thing to another. They've started writing, and they have interacted more. I've noticed them like, hey, can you help me with this? Can you look at this, check this out? Let's play, let's do these things together. Whereas technology was really individualistic.
No, I think I got a cool story just to kind of add to what you're saying about the idea, like, the creativity, this, that, and the other. So just recently, right, we were, just doing stuff outside. We do stuff outside quite a bit now, with the weather, we live in Texas, so it's still warm here, and even though it's wintertime. But the idea, I'm not sure when you guys are watching this now, whatever, but it's wintertime here.
It's winter and it feels like summer.
Yeah, while we're recording this, but we went outside and said, hey, you know what? And Ari had drew some boxes with some numbers on it. It looked like it was kind of like, okay, I kind of recognize that game. I said, you guys know how to play hopscotch? They were like, no. So literally we outside on the sidewalk drawing out hopscotch with the rock. You throw it in there. I was teaching them how to, like, okay, you bounce, they throw the rock in there, and you got to come back with a step, pick the rock back up. They were like, oh, that's cool. I'm like, I don't know if kids need to know what hopscotch is, right? I dare you to ask you if your kids know. If you do kids, that's great for you. But like, our kids, they were amazed by this game. But the opportunity just to do that is because, like, you know what? They weren't necessarily watching TV. And we're not perfect parents, by the way. So, you know what I mean? If I catch us with our kids with our phone looking at something or this, that, and the other, hey, we trying to get it right too.
Yes, to that point, I want to say something. So it's not totally restrictive. There might be a game on my phone that my kids want to play, and we'll challenge each other. I'll play something, or we might be in an airport and they say, hey, can we watch this? Or I might say, okay, this is the movie that you can watch. When this movie is over, there's no more. So we're going to pick the movie together. So it becomes a tool that we are using, as I said earlier, versus it's something that's controlling and using us. So we did restrict the tablet, but when we say, hey, let's watch this, we started watching more movies as a family. And that's on us too. And I've heard parents say, like, oh, I can't do that because of these things. It really does take a lot of intentionality because now you might be trying to do something and they want to show you the airplane that you made or that they made. And you have to say, like, okay, give me just a second. Hey, I'll read that. And hey, I want to see your craft, or I want to see your artwork. Give me about 2 minutes. Where now it's making us be more creative as parents. And I'm not saying that this is an easy thing. For a little while there, it was rough. I was like, these kids, one of us not gonna make it because they working on my last nerve. But I can see the benefits of now saying, hey, I want you to learn how to do this, where they have technology classes in their school, and we have our computers, and we say, like, oh, show me how to do this, or Ari, do you know how to do this? She wants to create things, images, and she wants to make books online, and Channing wants to see different things that he wants to learn different things. So it does become a tool, and I want to reiterate, it is very important that they are exposed to it, but we want to see what level, what degree, and how frequent. So I want to go over just a couple of scriptures that you added in here.
I was going to avoid them, but I mean, go ahead, because we're going to go to this is going to be, to me, I'm just, go ahead, though. I'm going to let you go ahead and just help us navigate.
Okay, no, we'll save that for another show. But I do want to say this. Well, yeah. So
we got more notes than time.
Yeah.
Because we got.
I wanted to just share this one. Philippians 4:8. Whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, think about such things. Our desire for all of our children, whether you believe in the Bible or you believe in something else, we all want to help our children think about the things that are uplifting, that are noble, that are right, that are just, that are encouraging, because we desire for our children to be built up. There's a lot in this world that is going to beat them down. They're going to deal with people that are not kind to them or are bullying them. They're going to deal with challenges in the environment and in the world and in society. So our desire at home is, hey, we're going to build them up to their highest and best use. We want them to be encouraged. We don't want anything to distract or draw them where they no longer feel confident. Right. And one of the things that can happen when they're addicted to technology is they don't feel confident of their own voice, that they don't feel comfortable in who they are because they're not really settled. They're being defined by so many of the other things outside that they see versus what we're putting into them. So this whole show has really been about children, but it's also about us. How do you see yourself? So how does that change how you and what you give to your child? So we always advocate for therapy. Study your child. Look at them. How are they responding when you take away the tablet for 2 or 3 days, or the iPad or the phone? What does that look like when you tell them, hey, no phones at the table? Is it a what happens when they walk in the door? Do they go straight and turn on the television, or do they say, like, let me tell you about my day? Or is the response really short? Yeah, nothing happened. No, I'm good. Are they scrolling in the car? These are just things to notice about littles and mediums, your teenagers. How are they engaging? Because that's important. We know that technology is what's happening and what will be happening even more, but it's still important that you can look somebody in the eye, that you can shake somebody's hand, and that our kids are getting the messaging that we want to put into them. Anything else you want to say?
Yeah, so just my only closing thought, I say, test your kids out, right? Take away their technology, see it for a day, 2 days, a week, whatever have you, see how they respond, and see what changes you see in them, right? Don't take our word for it. We got experiences, our own experiences, but we think it'll help. Right? Now I just kind of close off with this. There's one word that we always talk about, discipline with kids. The Latin root of that is disciplinia, right? Which means to instruct, educate, or train. Right? I think us as parents, we always talk about discipline, like I got to go punish this, that, and the other. Okay, but if you're talking about educate, train, making sure there's some guardrails around what they're being exposed to, I think that's equally as part of discipline as anything else. With that, hey, I think our kids are, our precious little cargo, right? We kind of maneuver through the earth until they get to a certain age they can take care of themselves, right? I think it's our responsibility as parents, right, to make sure that they're able to get there with the right mind, right heart, right insight, and hopefully they can go live their own life and be successful as well.
Yeah, so we know this might have been a tough one, but we definitely want to hear from you. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure that you connect with us on Facebook and Instagram, and check out our website, fusedmarriages.com, for more insights and resources. Let's talk about it.
Let's go!